The implications of this are frankly nothing short of historic. Over 100 documents that we released on Friday really detail and provide evidence of how this treasonous conspiracy was directed by President Obama just weeks before he was due to leave office.
The number one loser, you know who it is? Barack Obama. Do you know why? Because his voice doesn't carry weight anymore. He was out there begging, screaming, scolding, everything he did. He no longer carries that weight. Imagine Barack Obama, every day he goes to sleep, he remembers that one dinner that he's talking to Trump, saying you'll never be president, when he did the angry tweets and all this stuff on Jimmy Kimmel or Jimmy Fallon, and he reads the Trump tweet at him, talking about him, he says, at least you'll never be a president, drops the mic.
He was celebrated as the voice of a new era, the smooth-talking figure who carried the promise of unity, change, and a nation reborn. His speeches were electrifying, his words painted pictures of hope, and his charisma turned him into a political rock star. The media elevated him into a legend. The world embraced the myth, and for a moment it seemed like history itself was being rewritten in his favor. But not everyone is buying the dream. Patrick Bet-David and Tulsi Gabbard tear through the carefully polished image and exposed the cracks that were hidden beneath the spotlight. Behind the inspirational slogans lies a trail of foreign policy disasters, unquestionable loyalty to Wall Street, and a legacy propped up more by branding than by real transformation. When the glitter fades and the cameras stop rolling, what's left is not the hero the world imagined, but the uncomfortable truth of what was sacrificed for the sake of an image.
But think, you're Obama, okay? First go from the Obama's lens.
Okay.
Obamas are sitting there having to hear people compare Kamala to Obama.
Crazy.
Do you know what that does to Obama? Do you know Obama is sitting there saying, shut the that's what Obama's saying internally, right?
Director Gabbard, give me your response to what we heard from former President Obama there. He's saying that none of this makes any sense, that this is a distraction. What do you say to that?
It's the art of deflection coming from former President Obama, as well as his friends who are still in Congress today, and Senator Warner and Congressman Jim Himes, really all basically saying that exact same statement, which doesn't actually address the issue that was revealed in great detail in the over 100 documents that we released last week.
And hey, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to smash that subscribe button and hit the bell so you never miss a drop. Barack Obama always carried himself like the man who walked into history's VIP lounge and never left. The crisp suit, the smooth voice, the carefully timed pauses, as if every third word were a sacred prophecy, when in reality it was often just another recycled slogan about hope and change. For years, the world treated him like politics philosopher king, the genius who would drain Washington's swamp with nothing more than his presence. But when Patrick Bet-David and Tulsi Gabbard step into the conversation, the spell doesn't last long. They rip away the glow, and suddenly the myth cracks wide open. Behind the charm is a politician who left foreign policy wreckage, Wall Street friendships, and broken promises in his wake. The so-called golden boy of American politics starts to look less like a savior and more like a brand built on smoke and mirrors.
One thing I wanted to show is the following. So you know how you talked about Jerome Powell, what an easy job. You come once a month and he said we're going to increase the rates.
Greatest job there is.
I think this is the one thing they don't talk about. So Barack Obama got elected November 4th. Okay, quantitative easing started November 26th.
Right.
And it stayed for 8 years until you got elected.
Right.
So if you look at that low, pretty much 0% interest rate.
Right.
And then you get elected, right? If you go to January 2016, Rob, for the audience to see that. And then from there, one by one, rates are going up. And then Biden comes in, goes back down to zero to try to save the economy. And then, the rest is obviously history.
Right.
But do you think the average person knows, like, the impact of going to 0%?
Because beneath the polish and the carefully choreographed image was never a savior, but a salesman. Barack Obama sold himself as the political messiah. Yet when the curtain dropped, his delivery was closer to a desperate dealer trying to pawn off a used Honda with a blown transmission. Patrick Bet-David calls it for what it is. Obama wasn't a leader in the historic sense. He was a brand, a walking billboard of hope and change wrapped in golden rhetoric that sounded revolutionary, but functioned like a slick ad campaign. He wasn't a movement. He was a product launch. The Apple keynote in human form. Every word rehearsed, every gesture staged, every promise polished to a shine, designed to dazzle, but never to deliver. Obama became the political iPhone reveal. Long lines of believers camped out in the cold, waiting for the miracle device called hope. But once they finally unboxed it, they found the same glitches Washington had always carried: screens that froze when tested, and chargers that broke the moment they were needed. The packaging was flawless, the marketing unmatched, but the reality? Just another upgrade that never changed the system.
By the way, Tom, what is the process of Nobel Prize? If he's able to do that, who nominates? Because most of the Nobel winners are on the left.
Nobel Prizes, you can go look this up, are given through an arcane nomination process, and they go into a back room and they decide who they're going to give it to. And the Nobel Peace Prize is basically a political football. You look around the world at people that have really caused peace, and you have Obama made a couple speeches as soon as he was inaugurated in 2009. Oh my goodness, we give it to for fostering an environment of peace.
Tulsi Gabbard doesn't stop at the surface. She tears straight through the illusion. She reminds people that Obama wasn't just a master of empty slogans. He was a master of disguise. Behind the poetry of hope and change was a man dressing up the same establishment-serving policies in progressive clothing. He promised to end the wars, yet turned the skies into hunting grounds, expanding drone strikes with the efficiency of an Amazon Prime subscription. Only the delivery wasn't packages, it was missiles. He preached transparency, yet his administration went after whistleblowers harder than any before him, crushing those who dared expose the truth. The myth was that he'd dismantle the military-industrial complex. The reality? He repainted the war machine in eco-friendly colors, slapped on a shiny new sticker, and sold it back to the people as change you can believe in. Gabbard's words cut through like a blade, because they reveal a legacy that wasn't about transformation, but about marketing power with a progressive filter.
Its ability to try to impact the outcome of the U.S. election leading up to Election Day. The same assessment was made after Donald Trump was elected by the American people as president in 2016, defeating Hillary Clinton. And it wasn't until after that pulled president's daily brief document that the Principals Committee was called in the National Security Council, and President Obama then directed Obama's DNI James Clapper to lead the effort to create this new intelligence community assessment that detailed not if, but how Moscow attempted to influence the outcome of the U.S. election.
And the cruel irony? Obama is still worshipped like a saint, canonized by a political class desperate to preserve the myth. But peel back the halo, and what you see is a man who built his empire on charisma while quietly serving the same elites he once claimed to fight. He didn't rescue Main Street. He rescued Wall Street. While working-class Americans were drowning in foreclosures and gasping for relief, Obama was handing life jackets to the very bankers who pushed them underwater. Patrick Bet-David refuses to let that slide. He exposes how, yes, we can morph into yes, Goldman can, as Obama turned his back on the people and propped up the financial giants that had detonated the economy in 2008. Homes vanished. Savings evaporated. Families collapsed under the weight of despair. Yet while America's backbone broke, Obama's donor list ballooned like a Thanksgiving feast. The bitter truth? Hope never trickled down. Only Wall Street bonuses did.
And I couldn't be prouder to endorse you and to do everything we can to get you through this election and into the Oval Office.
Oh my goodness. The words you have spoken and the friendship that you have given over all these years mean more than I can express.
And we're going to have some fun.
You both.
Say it.
It means so much. And we're going to have some fun with this,
That's
too.
right. So obviously, she's not a professional actress.
Tulsi rips apart the fantasy of the anti-war Nobel Peace Prize winner, a man awarded the world's most prestigious honor before he even had time to find the Oval Office bathroom. The prize was handed to him like a participation trophy, not for what he had done, but for what the world hoped he would do. And yet, what came next? Not peace, but escalation. More drone strikes, more conflicts, and more shattered families labeled as collateral damage in a spreadsheet. The Middle East left his watch not calmer, but more fractured and unstable than ever before. She exposes how Obama didn't end America's addiction to war, he rebranded it. No more boots in muddy trenches. No more Vietnam flashbacks on TV. Instead, war became remote-controlled, sanitized, almost corporate. Drone operators clicking buttons thousands of miles away. Death reduced to pixels on a monitor. It was war turned into a PowerPoint presentation. And then Patrick Bet David drives the knife deeper. Obama was never a leader, he was a brand. The glossy Netflix trailer packed with emotional music and inspirational quotes, only for the actual series to be tedious filler, padded with broken promises and hollow speeches. Strip away the sheen, and his so-called legacy isn't Camelot reborn. It's mediocrity in a tuxedo, sold to the masses as greatness.
After President Trump had already gotten elected, this is not a Democrat or Republican issue. This is an issue that is so serious it should concern every single American because it has to do with the integrity of our democratic republic. What we saw occur here, as the documents we released detailed, was that we had a sitting president of the United States and his cabinet and leadership team, quite frankly, who were not happy with the fact that President Trump had won the election, that the American people had chosen Donald J. Trump to be the next president commander-in-chief of the United States.
Tulsi doesn't stop at foreign policy. She dives straight into the cultural fallout of Obama's style of leadership. He wasn't just a politician. He was the architect of a new kind of division. Obama sold himself as the great unifier, but his playbook thrived on slicing America into carefully managed categories. He mainstreamed identity politics, turning neighbors into demographic checkboxes and citizens into marketing segments. Instead of binding wounds, he drew lines, softly, eloquently, always with a smile, convincing one half of America they were the chosen, the enlightened, the future, while dismissing the other half as backward relics clinging to the past. And that moral superiority, that smug air of cultural elitism, lit the fuse for the backlash that made Donald Trump not just possible, but inevitable. Obama's presidency didn't end division. It crystallized it. Every decision, every move was filtered through the lens of image. How cool he looked draining a three-pointer, how charming he sounded singing Al Green, how quickly his speech clips would rack up retweets. But when it came to the grind of governance, substance always took a back seat to style. Obama wasn't commander-in-chief. He was influencer-in-chief, endlessly curating the perfect reel for history while leaving the feed of American life broken and bitter.
I'm going to go to the next topic here, which is Adam's top topic, talking about Obama saying every man needs a gay friend. So Obama goes on his wife's podcast, okay? And they're sitting there having this conversation, and it opens. They covered a lot of different things. Right off the bat, they talked about the divorce. Hey, aren't we supposed to be getting a divorce and all this stuff?
Under Obama, the Affordable Care Act was hailed as his crowning domestic achievement. But Patrick Bet David and Tulsi Gabbard strip that illusion to its bare bones. What was sold as a bold leap forward quickly revealed itself as a maze of bureaucratic confusion. Millions still uninsured, premiums soaring, and small businesses crushed under mandates they could barely shoulder. Health reform, in practice, seemed designed to appease insurance giants rather than deliver real relief to everyday Americans. Obama strutted across the stage as if he had rewritten the nation's health system. Yet in reality, he delivered a clumsy compromise, a government-backed advertisement for private insurers disguised as progress. Patrick cuts through the fanfare, showing that the so-called landmark achievement was often more about optics than outcomes. The hypocrisy is undeniable. A champion of the people leaving them with higher costs, fewer choices, and a legacy celebrated more in press releases than in real-life results.
President Obama will go down as perhaps the worst president in the history of the United States! Exclamation point at real Donald Trump. Well, at real Donald Trump, at least I will go down as a president.
Obama has to eat his words for the rest of his life. It's gotta suck. The number one loser of 2024 election.
Then there's the Iran nuclear deal, hailed by Obama loyalists as a masterstroke of diplomacy, but exposed as hollow under scrutiny. Patrick Bet David calls it exactly what it was: political theater designed to polish Obama's international image. He wanted the world to see him as the ultimate peacemaker, the deal-maker who could prevent war with nothing more than a pen and a smile. In reality, the deal was fragile, temporary, and widely criticized for empowering the very regime it was supposed to restrain. Billions were unfrozen, Tehran's influence expanded, and America's allies in the region were left feeling betrayed. Tulsi Gabbard tears apart the glossy victory lap, showing that real leadership demands lasting solutions, not a quick photo op for European newspapers. She exposes how Obama's fingerprints extended deep into the Biden campaign, quietly nudging him toward the nomination to block outsider threats like Bernie Sanders. For a man who claimed to rise above the dirty tricks of machine politics, Obama proved he was the machine, pulling levers behind the curtain, shaping the party to his will, all while maintaining the illusion of moral distance from the swamp.
Just tell me if this seems like they woke up together in the same bed this morning, the last week, the last month, the last 90 days, or if they live in two different places. Just watch this real quick. Go ahead, Rob.
Wait, you guys like each other?
Oh, yeah, really, huh?
That's
the rumor mill.
Yeah, slap that hand
It's my husband, y'all.
Patrick reminds his audience, this is the same man who once railed against Wall Street, yet today cashes checks from the very bankers he pretended to oppose. Obama didn't drain swamps. He turned them into private golf courses. His post-presidency reads like a non-stop cash grab disguised as intellectual reflection, Netflix deals, lucrative memoirs, luxury appearances. He became the Tony Robbins of politics, monetizing a brand while his followers wrestled with the emptiness left behind, the hope they once believed in slowly evaporating. Tulsi cuts through the polished image of global statesmanship. The world didn't see a steady hand. It saw hesitation masquerading as prudence. Patrick drives home the harshest truth. Obama is less remembered for what he accomplished and more for how he made people feel. But history doesn't reward speeches or charm. It measures results. And when the glow of charisma fades, the reality is unavoidable. The man behind the myth leaves a legacy defined more by illusion than achievement.